Professor Wergelitz here. I'm hoping you gave that a shot. I'm going to show you my solution and see if it's similar to yours. Now, I can use the same set interval function because this is being called every 1 second. So technically, I can also do the minutes in here. I can do the hours in here. But this set interval function is going to start getting really messy. So what I recommend is just keeping everything separate. I have a seconds hand that has its own set interval function. I'm going to make a hours hand and a minutes hand with its own function. That way everything's separated, everything's easy to read, everything's independent from each other. So if anything were to mess up, then it would be easy to fix. Now the minutes hand is very similar to the seconds hand. Okay, so we're going to formulate the minutes hand here. I'm going to use the set interval function. And that takes two parameters. One is a function that gets called, and then the second is the time that it gets called. So we're going to call this as well every 1 second. Now I'm writing this all in one line so you can see how it works. We're focusing on this set function right here. So I'm actually going to clear out the old stuff so it's easier to focus on the new function. Okay, so right here we're focusing on the minutes hand. If you look right here, I put it all in one line. I have one parameter here and the second parameter here. I'm going to open this up so we can code the functionality. Now, I'm not polling seconds anymore. I'm going to be polling minutes. So I'm going to create a variable called mins, and that's going to be equal to the date function. If I do the dot notation, you see I have get hours, get minutes, get seconds. So I'm going to get minutes in this case, and that's going to be to the local time based off your system clock on the computer. Or if you're on a server, it's based off the system clock on the server. In this case, we're on a local machine, so it's going to pull the time from your local machine. Now, I'm going to calculate the function. We saw we cannot just put in seconds directly. We had to calculate some formula. Well, it's going to be the same for all of them. If I put in the minutes directly, well, it's not going to line up on the tick marks because there's 60 seconds. There's also 60 minutes. So the formula is pretty much the same. We have 360 degrees divided by 60 minutes per hour, which is going to equal 6 degrees. Okay, so for each minute, we have to rotate the hand by 6 degrees, just like we did for the seconds hand. So I'm going to have my formula. I'm going to call it minutes degree, which is equal to the mins, which is taken from the date, the local time on the system clock, multiplied by 6. I'm going to put that into a rotate function. So I'm going to have a minutes rotate function, which is going to be a string for the rotate function, and it's going to have a dynamic parameter, which is our m degree. Close the parentheses, close the string. The plus symbol will concatenate two strings, so I'm going to have the rotate string followed by a dynamic parameter followed by the close parenthesis. And I'm going to feed that into the transformation. So I need to select the minutes ID. I'm going to call the CSS function. In the CSS function, I'm going to pass in a JSON object or a JavaScript object. And for right now, we're just going to focus on one, which is transform with our mRotate function. And then put a semicolon. Save the code, refresh the page, and you should see some functionality with the minutes hand. Okay, but right now my clock says 25, it's 6:25, and for some reason the minutes is at 0. So what's going on here? Let's double check the code. So if I scroll down, you'll see this close bracket here. That's going to be for the ready function. So it's in the ready function, but why is it not rotating? What I want you to do is stop the video here, just do a pause, go to the code, check it out, see what's happening. Why is it not working? If you can figure it out on your own, you're going to be better off on the exam, which is coming up soon. I'm going to go ahead and continue here. So this is your last chance to stop the video and give it a try on your own. Okay, here I go with the solution. So I'm grabbing the minutes here. I'm doing minutes times 6, so that looks good. I have m degree here, but it's not rotating. What are we missing? Well, let's look at our previous example, which we got working. So here I'm grabbing get seconds, Here I'm grabbing get minutes. That looks fine. And then I have seconds multiplied by 6, which is saved to s degree. Here I have minutes multiplied by 6, which is set to m degree. That looks fine. And now I have my rotate function, which has m degree in the middle. This is s degree. However, I forgot the unit. Here I didn't put a unit. So if I put degree here, click save, refresh the page, now you should see the minutes are working. So on my clock it says 27, and the minutes here is 25, 26, 27. So it's right on the proper minute hand. Okay, so if I scroll down, here's the finalized result. Remember, there's 60 increments per rotation, and an image can be thought of 360 degrees. So that's why I did 360 divided by 60, which equals 6 degrees for every minute. So every minute I multiply by 6, put that in the rotate function, and I call the transformation, which will rotate whatever the degrees is. Now, remember, we want this to work for all browsers. So I'm also going to set this to work for Mozilla. So I'll do -moz transform with our mRotate. And then I'll do WebKit. So I'll do -WebKit transform with mRotate. And the last one will be transform, which is the default, with mRotate. And this will close off the CSS function. Now, usually this is all in one line, but if it looks funny, you can always format the code yourself to make it look good. I just saved the code. I click Control S for save. I finished the minutes hand. It looks like it's working. It went over 1 as we've been sitting here. And I am now going to commit the code. So every time you save, you do a commit. So I'm going to do a get status. You'll see one file has been modified. So I'm going to do a get add. I'm going to add number 3, index.html. And I'll do a get status. You'll see it turned green. And I'll do a get commit. So when it's green, it's ready to be committed. I'll do a -m for my message, and we finished minute hand functionality. You'll see I inserted 35 lines of code. I'll do a get status, and you'll see I have now committed that version. So I finished the seconds, did a commit, finished the minutes, did a commit. If I ever need to roll back, I have a fine detailed snapshot. Okay, let's say I just finished the whole set of code. I finish seconds, minutes, and hours, and then I do a commit. Well, let's say I want to roll back because now hours isn't working, but minutes and seconds are. Well, it's hard to roll back because now I'm going to erase everything. So like I said in the previous video, you can never have too many commits. Every time you save, do a commit. Every time you save, do a commit. And then you'll get a good routine. And the more commits you have, the easier it will be to roll back. The easier it will be to find bugs. The easier it will be to see who inserted those bugs. And the easier your development process will be. Okay, we're going to finish up the hours hand. Now, the hours hand is a little bit more difficult because for hours, it doesn't just jump randomly. If you look at a clock, like for instance, it's 6:30. Whenever it's 6:30, the hours hand will be in between the 7 and the 6. Okay, so you actually have to program that functionality. So it's actually going to take a little bit more intuition. However, I want you to stop the video and try this on your own. If you can get it to work, then you'll be much better off for the exam. Google some questions, try to find the solution, use your resources the best that you can. If you get stuck, that's okay. You gave it a valid attempt. Come back to the video and we'll go over the solution together. But I'm hoping that you can figure this out on your own. Stick with Professor Wergeles and we'll see you in the next video.